the previous lecture, I think we have studied about the problems that occur when we are using stop and wait protocol. So the first problem that I said was when the data packet got lost. Okay, so when the data packet got lost, there is a deadlock from the sender and receiver side as well, because you know that okay, so it's not. Okay. So the problem that that we faced in the stop and wait protocol was first the data was lost. Okay, so what happens when the data was lost? The receiver is waiting for the sender to send the data, and the sender is waiting for the receiver to send the acknowledgement. Okay, so that's why there is a problem, and for this we have finded out the solution of timeout timer. Okay, so what happens is that when a certain amount of time is passed, like 4 or 5 seconds, the sender will again send the same packet. Okay, so that is how we resolve this problem. Okay, another problem was when the acknowledgement was lost. Okay, so what exactly happened then? The sender has sent the data and it is waiting for the acknowledgement of the sent data. But actually what happens that receiver also have sent the data, but the acknowledgement got lost. Okay, so from the sender side, because if I apply a timeout timer here, if this particular acknowledgement does not arrive at the same inside this particular timeout time, then what the sender will do, it will again send the same data. Okay, so receiver will not treat this data that it got differently than the data that it got there. Okay, so from the sender side, actually the sender is thinking that the data that I sent is lost because the acknowledgement does not arrive to me. But receiver, from the receiver side, receiver is thinking that I have sent the acknowledgement. It may be a different data. It is not the same data. So that problem was called your duplicate packet problem. So this particular problem is solved by something called a sequence number. Okay. So I give a sequence number D1 here and D1 here. Okay. So what happens when sender does not get the acknowledgement at the timeout timer, it will again send the same sequence number data, that is D1. Okay. So when receivers this sees this same data D1, it will say that, oh, that it means my acknowledgement has not able to reach the sender. That is why the sender is again sending the same data. So what the receiver is doing, it just discard this particular data and it sends the acknowledgement of this particular data again. Okay, so that sender is unaware that the acknowledgement is lost, but the receiver is well aware that the acknowledgement is lost. That is why the receiver, by discarding the data, is again sending the acknowledgement message to the receiver. Okay, so now the solution is timeout timer. There are two solutions now. The second solution is sequence number. Now there is another problem. Now I'll take the same particular solutions that are already given to you with it. Okay, so timeout, suppose there is a timeout timer and suppose everything is there. Okay, so it's a simple procedure that what happens that after if you say suppose the sender sends the data and it has been received by the receiver then sends the acknowledgement, but the acknowledgement is read after a timeout period on the sender side. As acknowledgement is received late, so acknowledgement can be wrongly considered as the acknowledgement of some other packet. Okay, so it is explained there, but to understand it I have to take another example. So suppose this is the sender side, this is your receiver side. Okay, so now you send the data. Already two solutions are already available to me, that is my timeout timer and the sequence number. Okay, so now when the timeout timer got finished here, now this acknowledgement supposed to arrive at this particular timeout timer, but actually the timeout is over. Okay, so now what, it is still in the way, it has not reached the sender that, but still because of some traffic or some congestion on the way, this particular packet got delayed. It does not got lost, but it got delayed. Okay, so it is only containing some information like ACK, nothing more, nothing less. It is only saying that it is the acknowledgement, nothing more, nothing less. Okay, so now after the timeout timer, the receiver will again see the same packet. Okay, so it will seeing that the packet is D1. So again, receiver will discard it. So this is the second problem, because it can know that the sender is sending the same packet. Now receiver can discard it and it will again send the acknowledgement. Okay, so this acknowledgement that the receiver sends, suppose it reaches in time. Okay, so suppose I'll say that this acknowledgement, that second acknowledgement, it reaches in time. Okay, so this acknowledgement had reaches in time. Now the sender sends another new packet. Okay, so this new packet will be your D2. And now after sending the packet, when there is a timeout timer here, now what this happens is this particular delayed acknowledgement now reaches towards the sender side. This particular delayed acknowledgement. Okay, so I'll indicate this by this one. Okay, so now this particular delayed acknowledgement that was already delayed earlier, now it reaches towards the sender. Okay, so now uh, suppose this particular packet was actually lost. Suppose this can happen. It's a rare incident, but it can happen. Okay, so suppose the packet was lost and the receiver, the sender got the acknowledgement of this packet, the lost packet. Actually, receiver hasn't sent the acknowledgement, but it is the delayed, or it is the delayed acknowledgement that the receiver has sent earlier. So at that time, the sender is receiving it. Now, again, read the statement. Suppose the sender sends the statement and it has been received by the receiver. Okay, so send the data, it has been received by the receiver. The receiver then send the acknowledgement, but the acknowledgement is received after a timeout period on the sender side. So it is received after the timeout period of the sender side. And as the acknowledgement is receiving late, so acknowledgement can be wrongly considered as an acknowledgement of some other packet. Okay, so now as the acknowledgement is received here late, it is considering that this is the acknowledgement of D2, but actually it is the acknowledgement of D1 and it got delayed. Okay, so now from how to solve this problem, it's very simple. Now if you think this is a simple problem, I think you can easily, if you do not read any book, or if you do not read any, if you are not have any particular what do you say, basic or any particular foundation on computer network, still you can answer this question by thinking over like for 1 or 2 seconds. Okay, this particular problem is also called as a missing packet problem. Okay, so because this packet is missing and we got the acknowledgement, so it is very difficult to backtrack it, that where it does go wrong and how which packet is not received by the receiver. Okay,
Sir,
it's there. Yes.
sir, here we can do that, na, that every acknowledgement contains a special serial regarding the packet.
Yeah, absolutely. So the solution for this one will be that I think it's well said by the student, that you can also give a sequence number to acknowledgement. Okay, so if I give a sequence number to acknowledgement, suppose actually the sequence number, I'll show you how we give the sequence number. It's in increasing order. Okay, so if I give it to D1, now the acknowledgement that I got from there will be A2. Okay, so it is always 1 plus that. Okay, so if I go towards the similar scenario here, same scenario, if I go there with the same scenario, that the sender has sent the packet D1 and the receiver, it got delayed. Okay, so now at that particular time, timeout happened, and again you got D2 and this particular acknowledgement, that is this is acknowledgement A2 and this is D1, sorry, and this particular acknowledgement arrived before the timeout towards the sender. Okay, so that is fine. Now when you send the packet D2, suppose this packet got lost, and now what will happen at the sender side, the sender will get acknowledgement of A2. Okay, So when it get the acknowledgement of A2 from sender side, actually sender is expecting the acknowledgement of A3, and it got the acknowledgement of A2. So it can easily figure out that it is not the meant acknowledgement that I meant to receive. Okay. So that is why it discard this particular acknowledgement and wait for again for the timeout till the timeout timer expires to get the feel that what exactly when will your particular packet will get arrived. Okay, so after the timeout time, because it is lost on the way, so after the timeout timer, it will again send the packet that is your D2. Okay, so keep in mind that when we assign a sequence number, if the sequence number that is assigned to data is D1, the acknowledgement number for this data will be A2. So it is always +1. Okay. I'll tell you different ways that how this acknowledgement number is set. So there is a problem with sequence number. Okay. So sequence number bits, I will also tell you about that when I come to, but just wait for 10 minutes. I'll come to particularly the sequence number part. Okay. So now, uh, suppose I think this now the solution that I given you now in which, just wait a second. Yeah. Okay, so now actually the solution that you present, okay, stop and wait protocol has various problems. So you have seen uh, totally three disadvantages. Okay, so the solution of this disadvantages is solution one, this is solution two, and this is solution three. Okay, so the first solution was you assign what was that? I think I forgot about it. The first solution was so the first solution was the second up. I'll get to it. The third solution is assign sequence number to acknowledgement. The second solution was assign sequence number to data, and the first solution was to uh, assign a timeout time. Okay, so timeout time. So actually stop and wait protocol has various disadvantages. So main disadvantages that is listed here. Okay. So when we combine these three features, that is timeout timer plus sequence number that is available to data, and then the sequence number that is available to the acknowledgement. Okay. So when I do this and uh, plus the same stop and wait protocol that we used earlier. Okay, so when I combine these three features, this particular stop and wait protocol will become stop and wait ARQ. Okay, so this is the another protocol that I've already told you about. I'll tell you again, I'll get to it. Those ARQ means automatic repeat request. Okay, so automatic repeat request. Actually, it was the first solution was timeout timer. So that is why it is, because the first solution was timeout timer. That is why it was called at the starting here that automatic repeat request. Okay, so automatic repeat request means that when the timeout timer get finished, the sender again sends the same packet. Okay, so actually the solution when stop and wait presented with a timeout timer, at that time we used to call it as stop and wait ARQ, but with addition of these features as well, we tried to the name will remain the same, but we added another features to this stop and wait protocol. Okay, so if I come back to the flow control mechanism, you would have seen that there are these types of flow control. Okay, the first was simple flow control method, that was stop and wait. Okay, so it has no feature, it was only stop and wait. So that is why I've shown you it has very less efficiency. You may have seen in the numerical part as well. Okay, so this is again for noiseless channel, which is again a very ideal situation that does not exist, because noiseless channel does not exist. There always may be some kind of a noise. Okay, so for noisy channel now there is stop and wait ARQ. Okay, so I'll come back to it now. You will be thinking that what exactly is a sliding window protocol and why this stop and wait is coming inside a stop and wait ARQ. Okay, so with this automatic repeat request, there are many features that get added to this particular stop and wait protocol. Okay, so to tell you about these particular feature, I'm just telling you two or more terms that you need to know. Okay, just let me open note. It's very easy if you just understand the terms. I think that it is very easy. Okay, so all the numericals will easily solve. I'll take some examples as well. Okay, so again I'll introduce you with the uh, formal notation as well. That is capacity of a channel. Okay, so channel, it may be channel, it may be a link, it may be a wire. Okay, so it is also a wire. So whatever the channel is, it may be wired, it may be unwired, it may be bounded, it may be unbounded. Okay, so mm, consider this is your wire that is going here. Okay, so there is a formula for capacity of channel as well, so that is why I'm taking simple example. Okay, suppose that the bandwidth of this particular wire is around 1 bit per second. Okay, so now what exactly is the capacity of this channel will be the number of the bits that this particular wire can hold will be the capacity of a channel. Okay, so suppose I say to you that how much how much chapatis that can you eat in a in 2 hours. Okay, so what exactly is the capacity of you, that amount of the chapatis that you can hold in your stomach, that will be the capacity of you. Okay, in the similar way, suppose the bandwidth of this particular wire or this channel is 1 bps. Okay, so at a particular instant of time, the maximum amount of the bits that this particular channel can hold will be the capacity of this channel. So it's very simple. Okay, so I'll say that the number of bits, because I'm talking in the form of bits, the number of bits that the channel can hold is the capacity of the channel. Okay, so in this particular term, what are the things that will come together? Okay, so suppose at because the bandwidth of the channel is 1 bit per second, so at 1 second, you can put 1 bit here. Okay, so at after 2 seconds you can put 2 bits here, so it is 1 second. After 2 seconds you can put 2 bits here, and after 3 seconds, and so on. So after 3 seconds you can put 3 bits here. Okay, so every time you put a new bit, the front wall will get forward. Okay, so actually you do not know the actually the distance between that, how far is this distance. And now I'm thinking that how many bits it will be. Okay, so when I'm saying that bandwidth of the wire is only 1 bit per second, it means at 1 second I can put 1 bit onto the channel. So that is very simple. Okay, so now the number of bits that can be placed, so the number of bits that can be placed in this channel depends on how many second it take 1 bit to reach to the end. Okay, so the number of bits that this channel can hold, now suppose it's at 3 seconds, after some suppose x seconds, there is this scenario. Okay, so all the channel is holding all the bits, so this channel is particularly filled. Okay, so now what exactly is the TP on this? Okay, so what exactly, suppose the propagation time is 10 seconds. Okay, so if the propagation time is 10 seconds, it means the bandwidth of this channel is 1 bit per second. It means the capacity of this channel is 10 bits, because after 10 seconds it can only hold 10 bits. So the first bit that you put here, after 10 seconds it will be here, and whole of the channel will be covered in all the bits. Okay, so now this particular channel or capacity of a channel depends upon two things. You can see, first thing is your propagation time or propagation delay. Second thing is your bandwidth. Okay, so these two things, to find the capacity of a channel, uh, it depends upon two things, which is your propagation delay as well as your bandwidth. Okay, so capacity of the channel is given
Sir,
by, yes, yes.
sir, here like the capacity of the channel, you're saying that the channel is holding some amount of data, like a data storage.
Channel is not holding because it does not have a memory, but at a particular snapshot, suppose if you are transferring a data 1 bit per second, you will put 1 bit onto this particular channel. So at 1 second there will be 1 bit in this particular channel, and after 2 seconds there will be another bit, after 3 seconds there is 3 bit. Okay, so actually at if you take a snapshot of it, if you take a snapshot of this at after 3 seconds, if you take a snapshot of it, I can say that this particular channel is holding 3 bits. So I'll say that the capacity of this channel is 3 bit, but actually it is not the capacity because capacity is much more than that. But after 3 seconds, I will say that this particular channel is holding only 3 bits. That is why I'm saying 3 bits. Okay, so if the whole channel get filled with bits, suppose the time taken for the first, so I'm using some complex terms, so I'll use a easy term. So when this first bit reaches towards the end, I do not know how much time it take. So suppose it will take for 40 seconds. Okay, so the bandwidth of it is 1 bit per second. Okay, so after every second 1 bit will be placed here till till you got 1 bit at the end. Okay, so if you take a snapshot of it now, it is using the whole channel is filled with bits. Now if you take a snapshot at this time, I will say the maximum amount of bits that a channel can hold is the capacity of a channel. So that is the definition. Okay, so you are asking everything else, anything else.
Okay, okay, sir.
It does not have a memory. Don't go there because it cannot have a memory because we are only transferring bits. Okay, so that is, I'm using simple terms, so I'll again use a simple example so that you understand. Okay, so I'm saying that the capacity of the channel can be founded out if we multiply TP by a bandwidth. Okay, so now I'll show with the example so you will understand it better. Okay, suppose I'll take another example. Suppose my bandwidth is 1 Mbps. Now your channel will be like this. Okay, so now 1 Mbps is actually containing 1 into 10 raised to power 6 bits per second. Okay, so it means that 1 Mbps means it is 1 into 10 raised to power 6 bits per second. Now uh, I'll say after 1 second there will be 10 raised to power 6 bits here. Okay, so after 2 seconds, I think you may understand this. After 2 seconds, there will be another, this 10 raised to power 6 bits, it is another 10 raised to power 6 bits. Okay, so now how much time, the time, this is your propagation time. Okay, so the time that this particular starting bit will reach, the starting bit will reach to towards the end, I'm counting the propagation time of that one. Okay, so suppose after 1 second, after 2 seconds, after, now I'm talking about m seconds. Okay, so after m seconds, this whole particular channel got filled with the 10 raised to power 6 bits. 10 raised to power 6 bits. Okay, so after 1 second, I'm simply telling you what is it. After 1 second, there was 10 raised to power 6 bits. After 2 seconds, there was 2 into 10 raised to power 6 bits. After 3 seconds, there will be 3 into 10 raised to power 6 bits. And after m seconds, there will be m into 10 raised to power 6 bits per second. Okay, so now what actually is this m? This particular m is your transmission propagation time. Okay, so propagation time means that the first, when you started with the first bit, when this particular, I'll assign this id, that is 1, then this particular ID reaches at the end of this circuit, at the end of this wire, all the wire will be holding 10 raised to power 6 bit packet from the sender towards the receiver. When you take a snapshot of it, it will be propagation time into your what actually is the bandwidth of the channel. Okay, so I'm only talking about if this channel is half duplex. I'm only talking about when the channel is half duplex, means either a sender can send either a sender can send a communication to a receiver, or a receiver can send a communication towards the sender. Okay, so all the capacity of a channel when I'm talking about for half duplex. Okay, so when I'm talking about full duplex mean at the same time both of them can send or receive at the same time. It means that the capacity of the channel would be doubled. Okay, so it means 10 there will be the bits will travel from sender to receiver from this channel, and from receiver to sender from this channel. Okay, so that is why the for full duplex it will be 2 into TP into bandwidth. Okay, so now there is one term now. Now, if you understood what exactly is the capacity of the channel, now I'll show you that in case of stop and wait. So I'll show you the
How?
disadvantage here. Yes, yes.
ऐसे कीबोर्ड लग जाएगा तो पूरा कंप्यूटर है फुल फ्लेश्ड
अच्छा. Okay, so till here. Now I'll show you what happens in stop and wait. Okay, so now in case of a stop and wait protocol, what actually is the capacity of a channel? Okay, so now suppose you are in stop and wait. Now you know that you will whatever is the bit. Suppose after 1 second you are sending some data. Okay, so you are sending some data after 1 second. This is there. After 2 seconds, this particular data will be here, because you cannot send another data packet until you got the acknowledgement of the first. Okay, so after 3 second, this particular data, suppose it's there. Okay, after m seconds it will be at the end of the channel. Okay, so actually you see that you cannot send the packet in case of stop and wait protocol. You cannot send the packet until you got the acknowledgement of the sent packet. Okay, so after 2 seconds it will again be empty. After 3 seconds it will only be containing one packet. After 4 second, 5 second, till end it will be only containing 1 second, or it will be only containing one packet. Okay, so that is why the efficiency of stop and wait is very low. Okay, so if that is why if the channel is very thin. Okay, so if the channel, if I call the channel capacity, if the channel capacity is very high, suppose the channel can hold a lot of bits at one particular instance. If you use stop and wait protocol, the efficiency will be very less. Okay, so efficiency will be very less, because the channel capacity, if you think, if you are using a particular wire, the channel capacity of that particular wire will be very high, but you are only sending one packet. uh, you're only sending one packet because you're using stop and wait protocol, so the efficiency will always be less. But if you say that the channel capacity of a wire is very less, okay, so suppose the wire is of very low standard and the channel capacity is very low. Okay, so if you use stop and wait protocol, the efficiency will be increased. Okay, so it will be increased than this one, but it is not actually increasing if you are seeing. Okay, why it is, why the efficiency of stop and wait protocol is so low, because the efficiency is given by 1 over 1 plus 2a. Okay, so this is the formula for efficiency. Now you are seeing here it is 1 over, here it is always 1. If you see that you can only send the packet for you can use only this particular amount of time to be useful time, and for this amount of time you are sitting idle. Okay, so this amount of time minus this amount of time you are sitting idle. Okay, so if you think about it that you are if I take, so suppose You know the formula, that is 1 over 1 plus 2a, and it is TP by TT. Okay, so now you can put the value of TP here, 1 over 1 plus 2. What is TP? I think TP is TP dependent upon propagation time, so it depend upon bandwidth over distance. That is propagation over transmission. So propagation is length over bandwidth. No, what is the distance? TP is distance over velocity. Okay, so TP is distance over velocity, and TT is length over bandwidth. Okay, so now you see, if I don't put the formula for TP, I'm just showing you the relation of the capacity. I want to show you the relation towards the capacity. Okay, so if you see here, 2 into 2 TP into TT, this particular equation is of capacity of the channel. Okay, so if you see that your efficiency is, if you say, inversely proportional to the capacity of the channel. Okay, so it means if capacity of the channel is very high, it means if your wire can hold many number of bits at a time, your efficiency will always be very less, because the pipe is thick. The pipe is very thick and you are only sending one bit of data to in the pipe. Okay, but if the capacity is less, so suppose it cannot hold many number of bits at a certain time, so your efficiency will be somehow higher than this, but it is still very less. If you're thinking, it is still very less. So I'm calling this as a thin pipe. Okay, so if the capacity is less, I will call that link as a thin pipe. So most probably you will find this term in books: thin pipe, thick pipe. So thick pipe means when the capacity of the medium is very high. Okay, so now what exactly is the solution for this one? Okay, so I'm coming back to the solution that I already told you in packet switching. Is the same solution is pipelining. Okay, so if you use this solution, that is why I've told you the switching earlier, so that you can easily understand this concept now. Okay, so pipelining, if you understand what exactly is the pipelining, so you know that in stop and wait protocol, what happens is that stop and wait protocol, that for TT amount of time, suppose for TT tech seconds, you're putting one packet. Okay, so suppose that this is your sender. I'm again taking the same procedure. Okay, so this is your TT. I'm for TT, what is the time, like 1 millisecond, 2 millisecond? For that amount of time, I'm putting the packet onto the link, and after that there will be 2 TP. This is 2 TP that I will wait for this 2 TP. For round trip time, I'm waiting for it. Okay, so the total time you already know. Total time is TT plus 2 into TP. You already know about this. Okay, so we have discussed this particular thing earlier. So okay, I'm saying that for TT seconds I am transferring one packet. So suppose for 1 second, how many packets can I transfer? It is 1 over TT packets. Okay, so you this already know. So in total time, the total time is TT plus 2 into TP. How many packets can I transfer? It will be TT plus 2 into TP over TT packets. Okay, so now if you find out this particular formula, you will see that actually you can transmit, if I do it like this, TT plus 2 into TP over TT. Okay, so now I can say you can convert this one. Okay, so you can, what you can do, divide the numerator and denominator by TT. Okay, so you can do that. So if I divide it here, divide the numerator and denominator by TT, so it will be finished one by one. So here it will be again TT by TT will be 1, and 2 into TP by TT. Okay, so I'm just dividing the numerator and denominator by TT. So you will get 1 plus 2a. Okay, so it is saying that in this particular amount of time, that is TT plus 2 into TP, you can transmit 1 plus 2a packets, but you are only transferring one packet. If you are using stop and wait, you are only transferring one packet. Okay, so in TT amount of time, you are putting the one packet onto the link. In 1 second, you are putting only 1 upon TT per second, 1 upon TT packets onto the whatever you're doing. Okay, so for the total amount of time, you can put this much amount of packets, that is 1 plus 2a, but instead you are putting only one packet onto the link. So that is why there is a efficiency problem. Okay, so if you see the efficiency for stop and wait, you already know is 1 over 1 plus 2a. It means that for 100% efficiency, suppose if I want 100% efficiency, I can put 1 plus 2a packet onto the link. Okay, so 1 plus 2a. So understand this particular problem that I'm saying, that what is the meaning of this 1 over 1 plus 2a? It means that for this amount of time, you are only putting this much packet onto the link, or you are only using this much amount of time. So in this much amount of time, I would have used this, I can put this, but this much amount of packets onto the link, and this particular time can be useful, but actually I am only using one. Okay, so for efficiency, if I want my efficiency to be 100%, so what can I do? I can put, instead of one packet, I can put 1 plus 2a packets onto the link, or whatever I'm doing, suppose onto the link, or I want to transfer it to the receiver. Okay, so if I want my accuracy to be 100%, okay, if I want to be my accuracy to be 100%, I should utilize the time that I'm sitting idle. Okay, so suppose I again show you the example that we again following there. So you know that this much amount of time that you're doing some work, but this much amount of time you're sitting idle. Idle means you are waiting. Okay, so now what can I do is, when I send the packet towards the link, now here, this at this amount of time, I also want to send some packets. Okay, so if I do this, my efficiency will definitely be increased to 1 plus my efficiency will definitely be increased to uh, near 100%. Okay, so that is what I'm saying. Okay, so actually the problem was in 1 plus 2a time, I can send 1 plus 2a packets, but I'm only sending only one packet. Okay, so if I want my efficiency to be 100%, so instead of sending only one packet, I can send, to make it 100%. So actually it will not be 100%, but actually if I want to increase it, I can send some more packets. Okay, so I'll take simple examples so you can easily understand it. So if I take numerical example, again I'm talking about everything in stop and wait. So TT here, suppose the TT is 1 millisecond here, and the TP is suppose 1.5 millisecond. Okay, so again this particular example, whatever is taking, I'm again taking the examples from online, that I find some resources from there. This is a easy example so that you can easily understand from it. Okay, so if you go towards this stop and wait, you already know to put the packet onto the link, you will require 1 millisecond, and the time taken from last bit to reach to the receiver will be 1.5 milliseconds. Okay, so now in stop and wait, the efficiency is fixed, so it is 1 plus 1 for 2a. So you already know the efficiency is fixed. This is the formula for it. Okay, so if you term to find out, you will find TP by TT. And what exactly is a TP? TP is 1.5 into 1, so it will be 1 plus 2 into, it will be 3. Okay, so it will be 3, it will be 1 by 4. So it is saying out of 4 milliseconds, you are only sending 1 millisecond, or you are only using 1 millisecond. Okay, so I can say that, or I can say that out of 4 parts, I am only using one part. Okay, so you already know this. Okay, so how do I increase the efficiency now? Okay, so now understand this very, very carefully. Okay, so I'll show you the pipelining part here. So if you have any doubt, just ask me on the go. So very, very important right now. Okay, so now I've taken the example that for TT, I'll require 1 millisecond. You send the packet, and when the packet comes back towards you, so that much amount of time is your 2 into TP. Okay, so 2 into TP is your 3 millisecond. So that is how the total time is 4 millisecond. Okay, so that total time. Okay, so TP, this one is your 1 TP. This one is your 1 TP. So it means what is the this is 1.5, this is 1.5. If you add it, this much amount of time it is sitting idle here. Okay, so now what you can do, Okay, so now understand this very carefully. Now what will I do for this particular instance here? So I'll just making a diagram a little bit easier if I can. Okay, so now this is your sender, this is your receiver, and you have sent the packet to the receiver. Okay, so for 1 millisecond, and then you've sent the packet to the receiver, and then that much amount of time it is sitting idle. Okay, so that you know. Now this is your 0th packet. Now I'm sending another packet at that time. Okay, so this is my 1th packet, this is my 2nd packet, and this is my 3rd packet. Okay, so now understand this particular thing. Okay, so till this point, again, you will send this data packet, that is your D0. When you get the acknowledgement here, it will be A1. Okay, so you already know about these things. Okay, so what I'm doing here is, when I'm sitting idle, I am also sending 3 packets here. Okay, so I already know to put the packet onto the link, it requires only 1 millisecond. It requires only 1 millisecond. Suppose, sorry, it is 3 milliseconds. So now I have to wait for 3 milliseconds. Okay, so that is why I'm putting 3 more packets onto the link when I'm putting, because now is at that time I'm sitting idle, and now I'm starting sending some packet. I'm starting the packet putting onto the link. Okay, so now by the time you will reach at this particular point, your timing will be so perfect that uh, suppose how do I explain this? Okay, so now I'll say this. Now at this, when you send the first packet, this 3 packet are in pipeline. Now you, because when you are sitting idle, you are putting this packet onto the link. So this particular thing, whenever you, till you got the acknowledgement of the first one, this particular packets is called your window. Okay, so I'm storing these particular packets in a window, that is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now at this particular instance, now see this, what is a window here? At this particular instance, I these particular packets are in the process of transmission. Okay, so they are all in the process of transmission, they have not yet acknowledged. Okay, so it means 0 is again sent here, 1 is again sent here. So I'll draw it like this one. 1 is again sent here, 2 is again sent here, and 3 is again sent here. Okay, so by the time you reach towards the 4th, you are ready to because at the 5th millisecond, now when you reach at the 5th milliseconds, the timing will be so perfect that you will get the acknowledgement of the first one. Okay, so that is your 0th number packet. Okay, so by the time, because total time to perform this particular transmission, that from go to sender to receiver, this is your 3 millisecond, and this is your 1 millisecond for a transmission time. Okay, so now when you're sitting idle at this 3 millisecond, I am for 3 millisecond I put 3 packets, because I know for 1 millisecond to put the packet onto the link, I only require 1 millisecond, so I can put 3 packets onto the link. Okay, so now putting the packet and sent it across towards the receiver. Okay, so that is different thing. Okay, so that is different thing. From sender side there is no time, so that's from sender side the time taken will only be the putting the packet onto the link. So transmission time is totally different. It depends upon the distance and velocity. I do not want to talk about that. Okay, so now when the acknowledgement of the 0th packet reaches towards the sender, the timing will be so perfect that it will get ready to send the 4th packet. Okay, so now when this particular acknowledgement got received by the sender, now till this point, keep this in mind, till this point you have to save the acknowledgement, you have to save 0. Okay, so till this point you have to save 0. So save means that this particular window is kind of a buffer. Okay, you have to save 0. Okay, so till I've not got the acknowledgement, I'll expand the window till there. Okay, so it is, window is nothing, just like a buffer. Okay, so when I get the acknowledgement, what I'll do, I'll again use put the new packet onto the link and I'll delete this particular packet. Okay, so I'll slide the window towards this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now whatever is in the window, it means that all the packets have been sent, but they have not been acknowledged. Okay, so they have not been acknowledged. They have sent, but they have not been acknowledged. Now you see, when you reach at the fifth packet, now see, it is very, very interesting here. Now when you reach at the fifth packet, the timing will be so perfect that you will this particular acknowledgement will reach here. Okay, so time by time what will happen, so after 1 second, after 1 millisecond, the acknowledgement of the next packet will also reach there. Okay, so when it reach there, what it means that this is your D1 packet and this is your A2. Okay, so by the time, till this point you have to save the acknowledgement, so you have to save this 1th packet till you got the acknowledgement of this. Okay, so when you got the acknowledgement, you again put the new packet onto the link, that is your 5th, and you slide the window. Okay, so when you got the acknowledgement, it means that the packet is discovered or delivered to the receiver. Hello. Okay. Okay. So now you can send again, if you take a look at the sixth one, when you send now, you can again send the 4th packet and then you can again send the 5th packet. Okay, so you are sending the 5th packet when you are getting the acknowledgement of the 2nd one. You're sending the 4th packet when you are getting the acknowledgement of the 0th one. Okay, so now for 2nd one, you will send the 6th packet. The timing will be so perfect that when you will be ready for the 6th packet, when you receive it, you will again start sending the acknowledgement of the 6th packet. So that is how your window will got removed towards the 6th packet. Okay, so this process will again go on further and further. So this particular thing is called your sliding window. Okay, so that is the concept of sliding window. When you got the acknowledgement of the concerned packet, you can again slide the window towards the next packet. Okay, so by the time, now again, I'll again, if you have any doubt, just let me know. I'll again tell you, if you have any doubt, just let me know. Okay, so this is your receiver side. At receiver side, by the time you are ready to transmit 5. Okay, so by the time, I'm again telling you, by the time when you are ready to transmit 5, you will receive the acknowledgement from 2. Okay, so you will reach the acknowledgement from this 2nd packet. So timing will be so perfect. Okay, so now you discard 2 and you move to window towards the 6th packet. Okay, so now at 6th, if you see, now at 6th, you will get the acknowledgement of the 3rd packet. Okay, so you will get the acknowledgement of 3rd packet. Now you can discard the 3rd packet and you particularly move the window further towards 7th packet. So that is how your process will go on. So window is sliding, that is why it's called a sliding window protocol. Sliding window is nothing, it is just a buffer to store the packets till I receive the acknowledgement. Okay, so window is nothing, it is just a buffer to store the packet till I receive the acknowledgement. Okay, so again, I'll show you the snapshot. Suppose this is 7, 8. Uh, so this, suppose this was 7, because I'm moving. Suppose this, if I remove this window, so suppose till 6th, the window was at this particular snapshot. If I take a snapshot of it, uh, we are here 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 3, 4, 3. Oh, sorry. 3, 4, 5, 6. This is at this particular point, this is your window, and the acknowledgement that is received here, that is 0, 1, 2. Okay. So now this particular thing is, it is not transmitted yet, as well as it is not acknowledged. Okay. So it is not transmitted, not acknowledged. Okay. So now this one is transmitted, but they are not acknowledged. Okay. This one as transmitted, as well as they are acknowledged. So you can let let go of these particular, so you buffer, you can empty the buffer for these particular kind of, for these particular, uh, the acknowledged packets, you can let the buffer go. Okay. So now you will be thinking that how can I increase the efficiency to around 100%. Okay. So previously you already know, in stop and wait you can transmit one packet out of 1 plus 2a. You already know this. Okay. So for 100% efficiency, you can do 1 plus 2a over 1 plus 2a. Okay. So if you can transmit, you can use this particular instant, it means you can generate 100% efficiency. Now see, in this particular question, what exactly was 1 plus 2a? So actually, if I take out 1 plus 2a, it is 4 by 4. Okay, so 4 by 4 is 1. So that is your 100% efficiency. Okay, so actually it will not be 100, it will be always less than 100. I'll show you how. Now I'll talk about another concept. Okay, still here, if you have any doubt, just let me know. Okay, so there is another concept of sequence number. Now it will come here. So how many sequence number are we allowed to use, till which point it is enough? Because the sequence number field is also limited. I cannot extend to like million numbers. Okay, so if there are million packets, like 1 million, suppose if there are 1 million packets, so to represent 1 million, there will be lot of bit required. Okay, so there will be lot of bits required to represent million. So that is why I avoid this sequence number. I tell you how to solve this problem as well, but still, if you have any doubt till now, tell me. Okay, so I'll discuss this particular problem in the next lecture. I do not want to leave it in the middle, so I'll discuss in the next one. Okay, so still here, if you have any doubt, just let me know. You have to revise this particular part. I think it's a little bit complex.